but let's talk about this, man. I watched a segment 2 days ago. I thought it was very interesting, so I want y'all to check it out and let me know your thoughts.
Accused of juggling multiple jobs and not disclosing information she was supposed to. Our Katie Lusso has been working this story for us tonight. And Katie, what have you learned? We know there are a lot of layers to this.
There certainly are. And at the center of this investigation is Caroline Leanne. She was the deputy director for the D.C. Department of Buildings, making $175,000 a year. She was also working full time for Freddie Mac, also making a six-figure salary. But at the same time, she was serving as the council member for the city of Falls Church. As of tonight, we have learned she is no longer working in any of these roles.
Really, what's in effect in July 1st is, salaries for council members going from $9,200 to $11,000.
Tonight, an investigation is underway into former Falls Church City Council member Caroline Leanne. Her resignation effective Thursday. Leanne also resigned from her role as the deputy director for the D.C. Department of Buildings after an ethics probe uncovered she didn't disclose that she was also working as a risk management director for a company called Freddie Mac. How did she manage 3 jobs? Well, according to the investigation, her position with the DOB was hybrid. She worked 3 days from home and the other 2 in the office. During those 3 days from home, the investigation found she was working in the office at Freddie Mac. While she did report her position with the Falls Church City Council, the investigation found that on more than 10 different occasions, she attended city council meetings while still on the clock in D.C. Leanne has since been fined $25,000. In an interview with the Falls Church News Press Tuesday, she called it a clerical error, telling them, "I've corrected the form, paid the fine, and now I'm moving on." Tonight, the city of Falls Church tells WUSA9 Leanne listed Freddie Mac as her employer, but didn't tell them about her job in D.C. The city now handing over information to the Commonwealth's attorney, who is investigating. We've also learned Leanne is no longer on the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments Board of Directors, a position she was appointed to in January. Now,
She was making some dough.
Yeah, yes. So it sounds like she held some pretty significant roles at some major companies. I think the issue here is, or the ethical issue here is that she's working for multiple government agencies and not disclosing that she's working for multiple government agencies, which, is a conflict of interest if you're working for multiple government agencies. So that's what the issue is here.
Smart lady, man. I mean, if you can do every job effectively, you know what I'm saying? I can't knock it, man. Like,
Exactly.
I don't see the problem.
And that's what I was going to say. I was going to say, yeah, it's an ethical violation according to a company's code of ethics, but
right.
Why it's not an ethical violation according to my personal code of ethics. Not, right? Like, listen. You're taught, some people are taught to work hard, right? And get as much as you could get, work hard and do your job effectively. So if you're doing it effectively, what's the problem?
What's the problem? I know her work-life balance is fucked up, though. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. But you know what? Depending on how she was raised, and the culture that I'm not going to pretend that. I mean, she obviously is Asian, but we don't know what country. But maybe this sort of work ethic is something that has been instilled in her, and she's seen because that's how her parents were, and that's how her grandparents were. Right. So I don't know. I don't really see what the issue is. I mean, she's not embezzling. If she's not embezzling money, she's not in her official capacity at either role. Let's say she has, she holds some decision-making duties in terms of delegating or getting contractors into, creating relationships with contractors, and, she's going through those bid processes the right way. That's not she's not violating anything there. You know what I mean? What's the problem?
Her resume is off the chain too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. It's amazing, man. She did it officially, man. Somebody snitched.
Yeah.
So somebody was hating.
Somebody was hating.
Let me ask y'all this: if your wives worked 5 days a week like that, and like that was like the hustle, and it was like really like out of the crib, like traveling back and forth, and like you really never saw them because they were legitimately working all the time, but they were bringing home 2 6-figure salaries. How would y'all feel?
I'll be traveling with her.
You be carrying the bags, huh?
Yeah. What you mean, honey? Huh? Okay, I got you.
I'm going shopping.
Yeah, what the fuck you mean? You got the money.
You know what? I can say this with some level of certainty that a woman like that works as hard as she does is not standing for a man that doesn't work equally as hard.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I hear that.
You know what I mean?
So
assuming she's married, I didn't notice if there was a ring on her finger. Not
I
that
highly doubt it. Highly doubt it.
Yeah. I doubt it as well. See, but if she is, the dude is working just as hard too. They don't see each other except for on the weekends.
Yeah.
So are we saying that she's a strong, independent working woman?
Nothing worse.
Nothing worse, bro.
I don't mean that. I was just saying that because that's what
Ain't nothing worse, yo. You know,
other than the strong, independent astronaut.
The strong, independent cat.
Can't get out of space. No, that's interesting though. I think all of us in our professional careers, we've come across those jobs where whether when you first started, you got to go through the company's code of ethics, or you got to renew your understanding of the code of or refamiliarize yourself with the code of ethics as stipulated by the company and on an annual basis. Mm-hmm. And the code of ethics is often broad and covers a lot of things, but it definitely covers, listen, if you have another job, that's your business. But the minute that job impedes your ability to do the job that you're hired for here effectively, then that's a problem, right? And that's generally what it is. That's generally what the requirement is at the companies in that context, right? Yep. She's doing the job well. So what's the problem, yo?
What's the problem?
It's crazy.
Efficient, is on time. You know what I mean? Like, what's the problem? There's no problem. Somebody was hating.
Yeah.
The CEO was probably hating. You know what I mean? You smart. You smarter than the average fifth grader. You know?
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yo, let me share this story with y'all. My wife is a tech recruiter, right? And she every now and again we'll she'll share some stories with me. But there was a job she had a couple of years ago that there was a dude that she interviewed for a tech role. Took him through the interviewed him. He went to hiring managers. He cleared the interviews with the hiring managers. I think they had him do some tech assessments. He cleared that as well. And they ended up, identifying him as the best candidate. Offered him the job, he accepted. Shortly into his acceptance and shortly into him hired, they noticed that he was slacking off in some areas, right? And this is a remote job, right? So he never physically was in the office every day. But they noticed that he was slacking, right? In areas, or there were some things that he should have been proficient in and he just wasn't. So obviously conversations would ensue about what's going on. Is he having problems with managing the projects that's given to him, whatever. And then, I don't know what his response was. I'm assuming he said, no, I got it. I'll get it all squared away. They would have various conversations with him and coaching sessions with him, warning sessions, perhaps written and verbal. And then he would, each time his response would be like, I'm going to fix it. Come to find out, dude had 2 full-time jobs, right? Working as a tech professional. So he would literally, both jobs were remote. Be at home. He had 2 computers set up, one set up for one job, one set up for the other job. And he was just trying to figure out a way to juggle them. and he ended up realizing that it just wasn't the best thing. He ended up quitting the job or whatever.
He was driving. He was driving for Uber and Lyft.
Yeah. But the thing is that had he been able to do those both jobs effectively, and nobody is the wiser at either job, his managers, what's the problem?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
My code of ethics are not your code of ethics, company. Like, they're not the same.
No doubt.
I have goals too.
Yeah.
And to reach my goals, it requires extra financial resources for me to get there.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
She had 2 6-figure salaries. If she was working at Burger King and McDonald's, nobody would bat an eye.
Right. Exactly.
That's my point, man. Like,
exactly.
You did nothing wrong. You know? And because you're talking about your code of ethics, you don't want them to be better than you, because just like laws, they wrote the laws, but they don't follow the laws, but they expect you to follow the laws.
Exactly.
So like, just like with Boeing, full circle, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, they wasn't following laws in the code of ethics, because there'd be so many CEOs just be getting fired or stepping down because they just raping the company. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like,
or they're just able to deliver and meet the expectations of board of directors and shareholders, which is what happens often.